So, Jay,
Yeah, here we are again.
here we are again.
What about?
Here we are again. Do you watch 8 out of 10 Cats as Countdown?
Oh wow. You know what? I used to watch it a lot. You've actually just reminded me. I need to go back and watch my big fat quiz because I always miss it, and then I always go back to rewatch it, and by the time I've remembered, it's like the middle of the year.
I was going to say, is it you talking about the one at the end of the year?
Yeah, I always forget to rewatch it, and then it takes me forever to actually get round to it.
That's funny.
Yeah. Oh well, I'll get there.
I always forget about programs like Will I Lie to You and 8 out of 10 Cats as Countdown, even
Do you
though
know
I really
what?
enjoy them.
I went through a phase of watching them to go to sleep
Oh yeah,
for
yeah.
2 or 3 years.
Sure.
And I'm kind of sick of them now.
Yeah, fair
because
enough.
it's just sort of ingrained in my memory. I think I've probably seen every single episode of all of those shows.
Fair.
Mock the Week, 8 out of 10 Cats. What is it again? Would I Lie to You or whatever?
Will I Lie to You?
QI, another one. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've seen them all. I've seen them all a million times.
Fair play.
I ruined it.
I sort of forget they exist, and then watch them. I'm like, yeah, this is great.
Dude, TV doesn't exist to me anymore.
Yeah, I feel you.
I haven't sat down at a TV and channel flicked in years. Probably close to a decade. Who watches TV anymore? Old
here's
people.
One for you, Jay. Old people. Adverts are the worst. Also, what are your thoughts on all this sort of Netflix conspiracy that it's too much in debt and it's done and also Disney Plus seems like it's going to overtake it eventually.
Yeah, I think Disney Plus will because they're starting to add stuff that isn't specifically Disney now.
Right.
They're starting to just turn into a streaming service.
And they're very smart about what they add to.
Netflix have sort of been hemorrhaging money since the beginning. They've just been very good at covering it up, so I'm not surprised that they're all that. But like I said before, Netflix is kind of they're saying that they've lost a lot of money when in reality COVID just exponentially increased the amount of people who subscribed. So people are starting to get back to work now and not watch Netflix so much.
Yeah.
So they're making it look like a damsel, but really they're a wolf in sheep's clothing.
Oh, as a preface, me and Joe were just talking earlier. He's dealing with interesting personal situations.
I think I'm alright. We'll get there.
Cool.
We'll figure it out.
Jay, who destroys Thanos's ship Sanctuary 2? I didn't know that. Same name as the Borderlands place. Yeah. Anyway, in Avengers Endgame, Captain Marvel, Black Panther, Doctor Strange, or Thor?
Damn it. I can't remember. What are the options again? Doctor Strange,
Black Panther, Captain Marvel, or Thor?
I want to say it's either Thor or Doctor Strange.
I'll repeat the question. Who destroys Thanos' ship Sanctuary 2 in Avengers Endgame?
Damn it. I've actually forgot. It's been a while now. I'm going to say... Damn it. I'm going to say Doctor Strange, even though I don't think it is.
And here I was, Jay, thinking your bias wouldn't sway you. It's Captain Marvel.
Didn't you say Captain America?
No.
I could have swore you said Captain America. Fair enough. Yeah, okay.
Really,
I think I actually.
I'm so sorry.
I think I actually remember. I remember that bit now. It's the bit where she just literally just flies through it and it just blows up.
Correct.
It's I remember that bit now. Had you said Captain Marvel, I probably would have remembered that, but I'm pretty sure you said Captain America. Which is why I was confused. Well, I was like, Captain America didn't destroy it, so there's no way.
Oh man, I mean, clearly I'm tired. Then I will know on the edit. That's all I'll text you. I'll just be like.
I think if that doesn't sum up exactly how we're both feeling right now, then I don't know what else would. Jesus Christ.
Well, Jay,
God.
This is the TGO podcast where we talk about video games.
Yeah, not TV
news
shows.
And games we're playing. And Jay's the usual co-host who's the Goldilocks gamer because he plays games at the perfect speed, apparently.
Well, perfect for me. I feel like I'm just efficient, I just get the job done.
Yeah, I mean, it's not supposed to be a job, but yeah.
Well,
I
honestly,
get
to
you.
me, it kind of feels like it. It honestly
I
isn't.
know, I know.
I feel like I think that's a good way of summing up. Really, I play games like it's my job. I'm just very focused. I'm extremely focused.
You are another day in the office.
Yeah, exactly.
My name is Nick,
AKA the Night
otherwise
Owl.
known as the Night Owl.
Night Owl Nick.
Night Owl Nick.
He's always on Xbox, like well past 11 for some reason.
Yeah. Yes, that's
Although
the only time I
think
get, Jay.
I don't think he will be tonight.
Nope.
I'll be asleep before then.
Oh, just a very quick one, Jay. Do you remember me talking about Trek to Yomi or Yomi? The
Yeah, that's out on Game Pass now, right?
Yeah, it's out today. But I can't be. I've decided I can't be asked to play it. Like,
yeah, just wait till the weekend. Yeah.
Well, okay. Maybe what I should say is I've decided not to play it.
Oh, at all?
I looked at some of the I looked at some of the reviews and I was like, I can't be asked.
That's a shame.
What were your thoughts on that? Do you think I'm being too harsh when I do that?
No, I think you're just the kind of person who gives a lot of things a lot of chances. You know. I feel like I tend to give something maximum 2 chances, and then I'm sort of done by that point.
Well, to be fair, I haven't even played it yet. So
well, that's what I mean. Like, I feel like I don't know. You can, try it. I mean, you'll know in the first 5-10 minutes.
Yeah, I'm not seeing the best. So
how big is it? Like, it can't be that big, can it?
No, in terms of gigs or. Yeah, I think it was like 7 gigs or something. Maybe.
There you go. What you got to lose?
Time, Jay. Time.
That's true. The most valuable resource.
So they say. So they say.
Yeah.
I still think it's money at the moment for me personally, but
it's a bit of both.
Yeah. All right, Jay. By the way, quick note, housekeeping.
Yeah.
No games today because I haven't prepped Guess Who's Review and the production team hasn't produced Pixel Perfect. So we're just doing down to business only this week, I'm afraid. First up, Jay, let's start with you.
Yeah. I've actually probably got some things I can mention that isn't even on the list, but yeah, sure.
Oh, sure, okay. Jay, please transition us. Transition.
There we are.
To the first screen.
There.
What's been going on with you? Tell me.
It's been a weird week. I haven't played Elden Ring in a week and a half, 2 weeks now.
Jay, may I interrupt quickly?
Please.
What's going on? Because you're like, 1 minute you're like Elden Ring galore.
Yeah, I was in it for a hot minute. Yeah, I really was.
What's going on?
I don't know. I've just sort of been not in the mood. I mean, I speak about this a lot. You know, my brain has to be in the right place for me to even like attempt to start up a game, let alone anything else. I definitely not for lack of trying. Right? Not for lack of trying. I wasn't what? Sorry.
You were in the mood though. You know
I
what I mean?
was, and then that's the thing. The thing that knocked me out of it was by Tiny Tina DLC.
Right. Okay. We'll come on to that later.
That knocked me out of it, and then once I'd finished that, I was like, "Oh crap! I'm not in the mood for Elden Ring anymore." So I guess if it wasn't for that, I'd probably still be playing it. But
wow.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, it doesn't take a lot to take me out of stuff like that. And then after the Tiny Tina thing, I just chose to read manga instead. I was like, yeah, I'm in the mood for that right now. And I'm very rarely in the mood to do that. So I was like, I need to sort of, take this opportunity to do that. Honestly, it's been primarily like mobile games. I'm still waiting for one particular to come out called Dislight, which I've literally been waiting about 7 or 8 months for it to come out now. Actually, it might have been longer than that because I think they announced it about a year and a half ago. They showed off a bunch of like early gameplay and like artwork that I was like, oh my god, I want to play this so bad. But I think it's been in early access for Android players for like 8 months, 7 or 8 months. So it's finally come to iOS on the 10th of May, which is in 5 days.
Boom.
So that'll be good. That'll be out. When is the 10th of May? That's a good question.
Tuesday, I think.
So next Tuesday I'll be playing that, more than likely. Yeah, mobile games just a sort of like in between. A lot of like catching up on YouTube and Twitch streams and stuff. There's actually like a Twitch event happening right now. There's like there's a particular streamer who like does multiple events during the year, and I think May is like the perfect time for them to do it most of the time. So they're doing that. So I'm just sort of watching that, playing on my phone. But the other thing I'm doing, sort of the main like game the main vein. Dune Spice Wars RTS game, which is much like Total War games.
Yeah.
Or like other Warhammer type games that I've played before.
Halo Wars,
sort of, all that, all that gloriousness.
Command and Conquer. Who, Jay? Who do you know who made it or makes it or
4X,
is making it?
I think they're called.
That okay.
The
Yeah,
same people who did. Is it Northgrad or something? I'm gonna have to check in a second. But yeah, the Dune game, pretty basic. It's in early access right now. But pretty basic well, not like it's pretty like in depth, but it'd be very confusing if you hadn't seen the movie. Let's just say that, or like you didn't know anything about Dune. It'd be pretty strange.
What? So is it quite story based?
Not really. No, it's just like.
It's the full game, by the way. Like it's out.
Yeah, it's. I mean, it's in early access, but it's definitely like done to a degree. I feel like as I've gotten older, I've found it a lot easier to like jump into RTS games because they can be really complicated. But because I think I've played a lot of Total War in recent years, that's helped me very much with RTS games. Like a lot of it is just like management, like being able to like see stuff around the screen. And that's actually like, again, it's like one of those things where it's like a bit of a challenge, right? You kind of want to be challenged, and you want to like, you have to be really focused. Do you know anything about map awareness on like FPSs and stuff?
A little bit.
So yeah, map awareness is like, right, so like in this part of your screen, you'll have a map, or maybe in this part, or in a circle down here somewhere.
Yeah. A mini map, yeah.
A mini map. If you're playing an RTS, or like not an RTS, a FPS, Jesus Christ. There's usually like a red dot that appears, which is like an enemy, right? And if you're playing something like Call of Duty, you need to have what's called map awareness to know like where that person could be coming from, depending on that red dot. You sort of need to be able to predict their movements. And I feel like there's a little bit of that in RTS games, where you kind of just have to have not just like obviously the whole screen is the map, right? So you need to be able to have that level of map awareness, but you've also got to be able to have like almost like game mechanic stroke system awareness, where like if there's some sort of like political or like diplomatic or even like a technology type tree you have to follow, like you have to make sure that if there isn't much of a pop-up on screen to let you know that it's happening, you need to be able to not predict it, but know that it's going to be happening soon. You basically just need to watch like a load of dials across the screen to make sure that you're like doing things on time. Almost, it's a little bit like what's that Overcooked game?
Yeah.
And you just need to know when things are ready to be able to like be prepared to be able to make your next move. Like very similar to that.
Sure.
And I do like that kind of brain exercise. I almost see it as like a mixture between a brain exercise and fun. It's almost like going to the gym for my head,
Sure.
Which I feel like certain games is like being on different machines. I guess is like a good way of putting it.
Yeah, no, I think that's
like
fair,
Elden Ring
right?
is one machine, and RTS is another machine.
Like you got your strategy hat on, and then your FPS hat on, and
all that kind of stuff. But no, I've been enjoying it. The movie is like in my top 10 movies of all time now, 100%. They're currently filming the second one. I can't wait. It's going to be amazing.
Yeah, agreed.
I bet you could probably guess. Did we talk? I mean, we spoke about this off podcast, but you can probably guess who I chose to be my faction right away, right?
We did talk about this, yeah.
Yeah, the Harkonnen, the evil. Yeah, exactly. I chose the Harkonnen right away. I actually haven't played it since my first playthrough, but my first run through was sort of about 5 hours, maybe 6 hours long. So I was like, yeah, that'll be good.
Hold up, Jay. Hold up. Sorry. Just a quick aside. I think it's developed by Shiro Games.
Oh, okay.
But
4X the publisher?
Like it is a 4X. It says it's a 4x real-time strategy game, or 4X real-time strategy game. So I think that might be a subgenre.
Oh, okay. I don't
I don't know
know.
what it means, but is it because there's 4 players on the field
Maybe.
at all
I just
times?
thought 4x actually meant something. Maybe a 4. Yeah, okay. 4x is like it's like a subgenre. Like Civ 6 is
Yeah.
apparently a 4x one. Yeah, I think it's just a very specific type. Wow, okay. It's probably part of the reason why I
So
like it so
how
much.
much? So how much of the game is it like how much is playable? Like, is it like a few missions? Is it
No, I mean it's just
multiplayer or like what?
yeah, I think there is a multiplayer aspect to it, so you can definitely do online. Um, but there isn't like necessarily a story. Like it legitimately is, fight as many of the enemy factions as you want, so 1, 2, or 3 at the same time. You have a small, medium, or a large map, and you kind of just have to control. So instead of like other RTS games where you sort of like lay down cities, there's already a bunch of cities or like areas of the desert that are already available for you to capture. All you've got to do is just go over to capture it. So
Sure.
the game is almost, I'd say this is probably the most user friendly. What's that other word we like to use? Where a game is really easy to use.
Uh,
Begins with A, but I forgot what it means.
accessible.
Accessible. There we go. It's probably the most accessible RTS game I've played in a long time, and I think that actually probably would help with if there was like new players playing this or like people who'd never played an RTS before. I'd say it's definitely still as complex or still as like hard, not necessarily hard to get into, but definitely like not even hard to master, but like let's say like RTS games came in like difficulties, right? I'd say this is probably more like between either playing it on. This is like playing on normal RTS. You're not playing on hard. You're not playing on easy. You're playing on normal. Like
Is there
it's.
difficulties?
Yes, there is. But I mean, like as an RTS game as a whole, in terms of its accessibility, it's more like playing on
Okay.
normal versus like if you went to go play I don't know, something like Stellaris or something like that would be
Oh my
hard.
god.
That would be like
Yeah,
extreme,
sure. And
because
Halo
the
Wars is
UI is
like
like
you
so
beginner.
tiny, and there's literally
Yeah.
like a million different systems you have to be aware of. Whereas this,
Yeah.
I think it's because it is such a like um, in such an early stage, it just feels like you can learn everything. I've even through one playthrough of the game, I learned pretty much everything there is to know about the game, other than what the other factions do necessarily.
Yeah,
Like
I'm a big
I was
fan
able
of.
to like get ahead pretty quickly. I was able to figure it all out, and I enjoyed that. I enjoy that kind of stuff. That's great.
Yeah,
That's good to me.
I'm a big fan of more accessible RTSs, as you know,
Yeah,
because I'm a
RTSs.
big
I
fan of
mean,
Halo Wars. So
yeah,
it's
Halo Wars
like,
is probably that's another one. I feel like that's more like playing on easy.
yeah,
That's like an
100%.
easy RTS. Yeah, like
But like,
you don't have
obviously,
to
I
be
just
like an
vibe with
expert.
that.
Yeah, what's Command
Yeah,
and Conquer though? Is that
yeah,
normal?
I think that's probably a normal to easy,
Normal to
probably.
easy? Okay. Shiro Games. Hang on. What else did Shiro Games make? I need to check now because
No
there's
idea.
one game that I know that you probably have no idea what it is.
Oh,
Northgard.
Northgard.
There we go.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
played that as well. That was actually pretty fun.
Very
Um,
positive reviews, apparently.
yeah, no, it was a good game. I think they took some elements from that and sort of transferred it over. But yeah, no, I recommend this Dune game to anybody. Like, it's just a good time. I didn't like get bored of it right away, but I definitely like I'm in that place at the moment where I can't quite stick to something. I'm just bouncing all around again. Like I kind of feel like I'm stuck. My mind's racing. I can't quite get calm enough to sit down and play something. So
As in, like, I was a couple of months ago.
I guess, yeah, I guess that's probably the similar. I feel like it's always a mindset that comes with this style of playing games where I just don't know what to play anymore, so I just stop playing games.
Nothing wrong with that, bro.
Yeah, I need a bit of a break. I've got a lot. It's not like I've got like a lot to play during the year because I don't even know. I can't even remember. Like it's weird. This is one of the first years that I've just not really been paying attention to what upcoming games are coming out. The only game I'm looking forward to this year that I can think of right now is Pokemon. I can't think of anything else.
You're not interested in God of War, Starfield? You might know.
I kind of want to wait with the Starfield thing to see what it's like. I'm a
Well,
bit
I mean, it's day
worried.
one Game Pass, right? So you
I mean,
haven't
if
got
it's
much to
Game Pass, I'll
lose.
try it. But if I had to pay for it, then yeah, it'd be different. Oh,
It'll
okay.
be Game
Gotham Knights is
Pass.
supposed to be coming out this year. That's the other game I wouldn't mind trying out. Oh, Redfall is supposed to be coming out this year. Yeah, so Redfall, Gotham Knights, and then obviously Starfield and Pokemon. That's like my 4 games that I'm kind of like thinking about at the minute. But like they're all really far away. They're all like in the second half of the year. So it's kind of hard for me to be like, oh, I've kind of just got to make like, okay, so I still need to finish Tales. I'm really close. We spoke about this already. I still need to finish. I re-downloaded Dragon Quest, so I'll finish that eventually. But there is one more game. So do you remember? I think it was roughly this time last year. I don't know if we spoke about it on the pod. Roughly this time last year, I played a JRPG called Atelier Rise or Riser. Do you remember that? Like a really really obscure like Japanese RPG. It's a very very popular Japanese RPG in Japan, especially because of like the main female protagonist. She's like one of these waifu type characters. There's like statues of her or whatever, and like fan art or whatever. But I really enjoyed that first game. But I didn't when at the time when I was playing that first game, I didn't realize that the second game had already come out in January of that year. So when I went to go check, I was like, oh crap, it's still full price. I'll sort of keep an eye on it, and once it's come down in price, I'll get it. And it finally came down in price. It's been a year. Actually, it's been a year and a half, and it's only now come down in price. So I bought it, and I started playing it, but I haven't played it since. I probably started playing it maybe Tuesday night, or it might have even been Monday. No, actually, it might have even been Sunday. I played it for about 4 or 5 hours just to sort of remind myself what the game was like, and I was like, okay, yeah, I get it. I'll come back to this when I'm more in the mood, I think. So I have things. I have things. That's on PlayStation.
Okay.
Yeah.
So sorry. So you didn't own it before then?
No, I have the first one, just not the second one. I now have the second one.
Oh, okay. And so what? How long ago was the first one released?
Maybe January 2018 or 2019.
And the second one's just out.
No, the second one came out. Just technically, it came out in Japan in December of 2019.
Yeah.
But it came out in January in the West of 2021.
And it's only just come out on sale.
Yes, only just now come out on sale. I mean, it's been out, but I think the full price was like 60. So I was like, right, I'm not going to pay that much. I'll wait till it's at least like 40 or under. I think it's currently at like 35 or something. So I was like, right, yes, spot on.
Okay, so
I'll grab that. Yeah, no, really good. They've sort of like upgraded the graphics. Like the graphics are a bit more like 3D rounded. Like I think the first game definitely was like fairly small. It's only on this like one island that you sort of like traversed around. But now you're on like the mainland that's part of like where the island is from, right? So you've got the island over here, and then you've got like the mainland. So you're now over here. It's just like it literally is like a straight continuation. I love the story. I don't know. It's like playing an anime. That's what's so good about it for me. It's kind of one of those like really personal things, right?
So like a double A size game sort of thing.
Yeah, I'd say double A. Yeah, definitely not triple. I mean, it's hard to say really because a lot of these JRPGs are like massive in Japan, but there's so many you've never heard of over here. Because a lot of them don't ever make it over here. They have to do a very specific amount of sales, I think, to even potentially get over here. And they usually come out like sometimes years later. It just depends.
Sure.
But this one came out only a couple of months.
I'm not trying to cut you off every time you speak. I think there is. I meant to tell you this. I think there is like a second delay from you to me or whatever.
It's fairly slight, I guess. It must be.
I'm just saying. I'm not trying to cut you off. That's all.
No, I understand. I'm not.
When you're speaking.
I'm not frustrated or anything. You're all good.
I feel like I wait for the time to speak, and then I think you've already started speaking, and then do you know what I mean?
We're out of sync. We're out of practice. We're usually pretty good at this.
It's all good.
It's been a while.
Good. I'm just being honest. Well, that's cool though. I mean, I'm enjoying your little dips and dabs. Is there another game you want to talk about?
Oh, yeah. That is it. Masquerade Blood Hunt came out.
Right. Okay.
Do you remember
so
that?
Pause for a sec, Jay. It's this. I feel like I'm getting this confused, right?
Yeah,
So
I
I
know
thought
exactly what
Vampire
you're gonna say.
Masquerade. Right. Okay. So this is not to do with Redfall at all,
No,
right? Because that is
no.
Arcane.
Different.
Is that right? Is Arcane making that?
I think so.
Right. So that's different. I thought Vampire Masquerade Bloodlines 2 or whatever the fuck it was. I
Yeah,
thought
see,
that was
that's
like a
different.
sequel to a really old game.
That's just a single player game. This is a
Okay.
multiplayer game. This is a battle
Of the
royale
same
game.
franchise.
Same franchise, but it's just a free to play battle royale of the same game. Really.
But the other game never came out. Hasn't come out yet, right? The single
I
player one.
honestly don't know if it has. It's one of those ones where I didn't really pay attention in, but it could have come out already. I'm not sure.
So they've released a free to play battle royale before the main game.
I think so. Yeah. So this free to play battle royale thing, I think, has been in beta for like 6 months. And I even went on YouTube to sort of see, like, check out videos that some YouTubers have made, and they've been like really in depth for ages on it. I had a couple games. I was like, yeah, I get it. I get why people play this, but like, I'm starting to get bored of like multiplayer games, honestly.
Oh mate, join the club. Does it look good or?
Yeah, in fact, actually pretty good. It felt nice. It honestly felt like Fortnite, but with better graphics. That's kind of what I was getting. It's pretty much like
Right,
Fortnite
okay.
with much better mechanics, like class system, better weapons. It honestly kind of felt um, like, the game Vampire that I like.
Yeah.
It kind of felt like if there was a multiplayer of that, that's similar to what it would be. So that's one of the reasons why I like the idea of it, is because it's much like Vampire in that sense.
I was gonna say sounds right up your
Like,
street.
there's like different classes that have different powers depending on what type of vampire you are. So there's like vampires that look all gross and horrible, and then there's like human vampires that have specific powers and stuff. So it is really really good. It's basically just like an upgrade of Fortnite, like a massive upgrade. Like, it's weird. Like, me and you speak loads about how graphics don't necessarily mean anything. Like, I think this Fortnite and this Blood Hunt game is like a massive. Like, if we lived in a world where the graphics were like the reason why games did good, this Blood Hunt game would be so much more popular than Fortnite, because it's just the same game, just with different, like, much better graphics, like not cartoony.
So look, every new game is popular on Twitch, but what's the reception been like?
Honestly, haven't seen much. I haven't really been following it on Twitch. I know the game's just been
Okay.
big, sort of in its own little YouTube community, so I'm sure
That's
it's doing
cool.
fine. I will say that it has like quite a interesting element where, like, you sort of like hang out in this like vampire headquarters before you like go into a lobby, and they've sort of done it where, like, they give you like side missions to like find collectibles around this hall or whatever, and it then adds stuff into your game,
That's cool.
which is pretty cool. So it's almost a little bit like Mortal Kombat 11 when it came out, when you can like go into an area and unlock stuff when you've like gained a certain amount of currency. It's like a similar type thing. I find that quite
I'm
cool.
not too familiar with it, but
Yeah, I
it
mean,
sounds
if you know, you know.
interesting. If you know, you know.
If you know, you know, exactly. But yeah, that was alright. Like I say, I've sort of been like in and out of so much stuff at the minute.
Another game, Jay, you want to talk about?
Is there another one? Oh yeah, bloody hell! I have been all over the place. Lost Ark,
Is this
MMORPG, came out in
the Amazon
February.
one?
I think so. Because
Yeah.
New World is the MMO that's by Amazon, but I'm not sure. I don't think Lost Ark is.
Oh, is Lost Ark the
Lost Ark's a
Diablo looking
Korean.
one?
Yeah, it looks like Diablo, but it's made by a Korean company, I think.
Yeah. Okay.
It's like the one that's like blown up and is sort of very very good at the minute. A lot of people playing it. Yeah, I was a bit skeptical because when I first saw the specs that you needed to play the game, I was like, there's no way my laptop's playing this thing. So I thought, on like an off chance, I'll be like, right, I'll install this thing. I'll put everything on the lowest minimum settings and see if it works. If it works, I'll give it a go. So I did. It plays, and I gave it a go. I played it for a couple hours. It's not too bad. It's much like playing Diablo. just online instead.
Good gameplay?
Yeah, no, man. I'm struggling right now in terms of like enjoying certain things that I would love like 5, 10 years ago. You know?
Is it
Like,
is it free to play?
it is free to play.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, you can't get the most out of the game unless you pay for certain things, I imagine. But yeah, free to play. Man. I think part of the reason why I don't like it is because it's on PC. Was the game on console, I'd probably be playing it now. Again, it's more of like an accessibility thing. I don't want to like play a game that's like only on PC. I want it to be more accessible. Like my PC isn't in good of a shape, so I kind of have to, use it sparingly. I felt like if I played that game constantly, my laptop would just blow up. So I just want to be able to play games on console. Like, even then, I get bored of stuff. I don't know.
No, fair enough.
There's just so much possibility right now, and like so many options. I can't make a decision to like. I feel like I'm running out of time. Like I haven't got enough time to play everything, so I just don't play anything.
Yeah.
It does the opposite effect.
I have a few things to say here. So first of all, I think. Well, no, I'm trying to give advice. I think.
Please, yeah.
I think first off, I genuinely think games age better on console in the sense that if you have a 10-year-old console, so let's say an Xbox One, it still somehow runs games like that come out today, right? Whereas a 10-year-old PC,
yeah,
it's
sure going to struggle.
As effective.
Yeah, you need to play everything on the lowest for it to even work,
Right.
Which is bad.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like, if I have to try running anything on my laptop, Jay, I can assure you it looks like Minecraft. Like, trust me.
No, mine can barely play Lost Ark. Like, it's like somewhere between 15 and 30 frames at best.
Oh.
Yeah.
And that's at low settings.
That's on everything lowest it can go.
Oh,
the game looks awful. Actually, the game looks good, but like, there's moments where I'm like, oh god.
Ooh,
Jesus.
Second thing would be, obviously, I think I've sort of gone through a similar period recently, which you spoke to me about, but I would very much sort of identify games that you just fancy playing and just taking them one game at a time and just playing it and being like, am I having fun? Do I want to give this a go? And if you're not, just fucking bounce. And if you don't feel like gaming, just don't game. Definitely, for sure. Like, if you're in a manga mood, do the manga,
I'm kind of like not in the mood for anything right now. I'm struggling, man.
Maybe you're looking for something else you don't realise yet.
Yeah, that's the thing. I feel like I'm like, how the body tells you you're thirsty or you're hungry?
Yeah.
I feel like I've got that, but there's no mechanism that tells me I'm in the mood for a particular type of game, Or just anything. Like, I'm in the mood for anything. Like, I don't even want to read in a minute. If it wasn't for this podcast, I don't know what I'd be doing right now. I'd probably just be watching YouTube or like on Twitter. Honestly, I spent most of my time on Twitter, just scrolling, man. I'm just stuck. Yeah, it's frustrating, but I think I had like so much. I think this might be the first year where like the first 3 months of the year was just packed. And it's sort of like drained my battery,
Sure.
Just feel massively drained right now. Need a bit of a recharge.
Well, there's plenty of time to recharge because, as you said, I think we had quite a lot of releases early this year. I don't think too many are coming out over summer. So there's definitely time to recharge. And we've got some exciting things coming up. We'll see what happens with him, We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Keep expectations low as possible and just go from there.
Especially in this day and age. Jesus Christ.
Definitely.
Can't expect anything. Ugh.
Jay, are you okay if we move on to the news?
Cool. We're there.
News time, baby. So, interesting stories this week, actually. Some pretty significant stories or movements or things that have happened. So first of all, Jay, it makes more sense to start with this one. So, Embracer Group By the way, these all come from IGN. Adam Bankhurst, George Yang, and Ryan Dinsdale in terms of the stories we're going to talk about, but they are separate, come from separate sources like press releases, etc. Anyway, let's get down to the nitty-gritty, shall we? So first up, we've got Embracer Group is going to acquire Crystal Dynamics, Eidos Montreal, Square Enix Montreal, and lots of IPs, including Tomb Raider, Deus Ex, Thief, Legacy of Kain, and more than 50 back catalog games from Square Enix Holdings for $300 million.
Not enough.
It's going to be.
It's too little.
What do you say, Jay?
It's too little money.
Oh, I agree with that.
I'd say like $1 billion minimum.
And this acquisition includes roughly 1,100 employees, looking to close Q2 of the financial year 2022. Before we go on to it, Jay, obviously there's a lot more information, guys, you can read online if you want to, but the nuts and bolts of it is, if you remember THQ Nordic, the publishing group, that's who Embracer Group are. So don't get too confused with all these different publisher names. We've actually known about THQ Nordic for quite some years now because they put out remasters like Kingdoms of Amalur: Re-Reckoning. They're putting out SpongeBob, Battle for Bikini Bottom Rehydrated. They're putting out lots of these. They're putting out Darksiders 3. So they have got a lot of what would you say, presence across the stores and things and games. So don't get too confused with the publisher name. But essentially, yeah, Crystal Dynamics made Avengers, that Jay obviously played a lot. They've traditionally made all the Tomb Raider games, including some of the reboots, or 2 of the reboot trilogy out of the 3. Eidos Montreal just made Guardians of the Galaxy. So yeah, as Jay sort of said, this seems super cheap for the IP we've got here, guys.
Ridiculous. They're gonna make their money back and buy a lot.
100%. And these are talented studios as well. Crystal Dynamics is like a significantly talented studio. I mean, look, they're all talented, but Crystal Dynamics, I think, in my opinion, made 2 incredible games with Tomb Raider Reboot and Rise of the Tomb Raider. So, and obviously, Eidos Montreal just released Guardians, which Jay just played, right? So this is a pretty big story, and it seems like they've got them quite cheap, to be honest. First of all, Jay, I am actually surprised that Microsoft weren't going to buy some of this stuff, if you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're on the acquisition trail, right? And I'm like, it makes sense for them to buy almost all these IPs and the studios, considering Crystal's working with one of their the initiative at the moment as well. But what are your thoughts then on this news?
I honestly don't know what the hell is going on in the industry right now. Everyone's selling.
Right.
Everyone's buying. The money is either too much or too little. It's like people people aren't like valuing these things enough or too much. So I think the biggest reason why Square Enix are doing this is for the NFT thing, right? Did you hear about this?
Not really, no.
Yeah, so the sole reason why they're getting rid of, or like the one reason that I know about, they're getting rid of all these basically the western side of Square Enix, is because the CEO of Square Enix is trying to introduce NFTs into the gaming space as much as he possibly can, and to be able to do that, he needed a lot of money quickly, and so he sold all this stuff, right? But literally the day that he sold all this stuff and did all this NFT stuff, the NFT market just like crashed. So the 300 million that he had basically wasn't going to buy him anything in comparison with what he thought he was going to buy him, which I'm kind of glad about, because the gaming community seems to be very anti NFTs. I don't know if you're aware.
I got that impression.
Yeah, well, I'm kind of part of that space too. I think NFTs are
they're made up value.
The downfall. They're definitely the downfall of most media, I guess. Basically anyone who in the gaming space who's gotten involved in NFTs recently, it's not like been cancelled for it, but been sort of like shunned, sort of like told off So they're like, why are you doing that? We're not going to support you if you do that. And then as soon as everyone started saying that, they were like, right, I'm off it. I'm off it. Don't go away. It's like they had to backtrack super hard, you know.
Wasn't me.
So I feel like Square Enix is having a bit of a villain arc at this point. I'm finding it hard for me to enjoy their content as much as I used to. The only saving grace currently is Final Fantasy and Dragon Quest. That's sort of my only thing that's keeping me on at the minute. So I'm just hoping that this NFT thing flops and that they go back on what they've said so far.
In terms of the studios, though.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that?
What are my thoughts on... So Crystal Dynamics, they did, like you say, Avengers and the Tomb Raider stuff?
Yeah.
Well, I'm honestly thinking it might have potentially been a good thing that Square Enix let all these studios go, because we don't really know whether if it was Square Enix holding the studios back, or the studios that just weren't doing good under any sort of management, right?
Right.
So now I think there's a chance for these companies to either sort of like prove themselves, because like a lot of these companies are they've made games that have done well, like obviously Tomb Raider did really well. But I feel like they could have maybe been, as like certain games that they've made could have been larger, I guess. I don't know, or just like better in some way. Like, I feel like much like how we spoke about Microsoft buying Blizzard and Activision and stuff. It's just sort of like new territory, right? There's like an unknown thing now where potentially good things can happen or potentially bad things can happen. So I think we're just in a sort of like a fluctuating state right now where could be good, could be bad. Wait and see. I hope it's good because Eidos Montreal obviously making Guardians recently. I don't know if they would have been able to make that if it wasn't from Square Enix. So either they're going to be making...
Yeah, for sure.
Is the quality of stuff going to come down from now on, or is it going to go up?
Is it going to go up? Yeah, it's so difficult to tell.
We're not going to tell for like another 3 to 4 or 5 years.
Oh yeah,
probably.
It's so difficult to tell where or how the publishers influence these developers because we just have no idea, right? Like, if you look at Microsoft top down, you'd think, oh, okay, Microsoft either don't interfere enough with their developers or work with them enough, or they overwork with them.
Yeah, too many cooks, right?
Right. Like that's the impression we get, whereas Sony seem to just know the right balance because obviously a lot of their exclusives are just hitting the mark. Not all of them are like outstanding, but a lot of them are. So it's difficult to say, but as you say, Jay, we'll know in like 3 to 5 years, I guess. But what's interesting from this point of view is what are these studios going to be doing? Are they going to be able to work on Guardians? The other question that has been raised from other podcasts I've listened to, Jay, is like you pointed out, what the hell is going on with all these sales and buys? Like, it seems like the industry is just getting to such a high risk place.
Yeah,
the only alternative from independence, because independence is just too fucking risky as a video game developer, is just to get in with Microsoft or Sony or Nintendo or one of these big publishers. But even like, you know, your EAs aren't safe, your Activisions weren't safe. They probably are now because Microsoft bought them. But like Embracer Group is probably one of the only publishers where they're like, yeah, we're safe, is what it feels like, right? It feels like everybody else, you know, we've seen Double Fine go to Microsoft, which is kind of a reputable independent studio, I would have said before.
Yeah,
that. Yeah, and we've seen obviously even PlayStation acquire some studios like Bluepoint and stuff. So and Housemarque. So it just seems like everybody's trying to get out of because it's so risky, right? There's no AA at the moment. There's no games you can buy for like 40, 50 quid that seem kind of good value for money, that are thriving. It's all like 70 quid or an indie game. And it just seems like a crazy place at the moment. I don't know what you think on that.
COVID's obviously had a massive impact on the industry. And what I can imagine happened is that some of these people in power, higher ups, probably got a lot of flack during that time from people who were above them to be like, why are you struggling? I get COVID's happening, but you should be doing better. And they went after everything sort of calmed down. Them people then went, screw this. I'm just going to sell and get out like while I still can. I don't like this kind of pressure. And sort of just giving it to someone else. I think that there's definitely an aspect of that. Yeah, I think people don't want to have that risk happen again, where there's a possibility of losing out on a bunch of money. So they kind of just like need to have. It's almost like unionizing, isn't it? It's a little bit like that, in that they kind of just need something. They need some sort of like assistance from like a larger fish in the pond or something, They almost need like a bully to protect them. Almost like it's almost like having like the mafia be your security, like that kind of thing. They kind of just need a bit of security to make sure that there's almost zero chance of anything happening, of like losing out on money. I guess it's almost like it's what it kind of feels like. The gaming industry is almost becoming like a Hollywood, and that each of these acquisitions, like Microsoft and Sony, like all these names are starting to become like Warner Brothers, like and like all these other Disney, like it's starting to become like the Hollywood version of what these brands are, and what these companies are. It's sort of you can pick your film studios, but now you can pick your game studios. Like that's kind of an amalgamation of everything.
100%, dude. And by the way, just for a bit of context, I think me and Jay still think this is a relevant point, even though they went from one big publisher to another, because Square Enix seem to almost have gotten smaller, I would say, over the last few years in terms of a publisher, right? Like they're getting less Western influence. Avengers didn't hit. Life is Strange is doing well, but not a huge kind of pull for them. So it feels like they're going more towards the Japanese route. But even some people are talking about they're looking to sell, and we probably shouldn't go on it, Jay. But I've even seen rumors that Ubisoft might be looking to sell.
Yeah, I saw
which
that.
Is fucking ludicrous.
I think they're getting offers from both Sony and Microsoft just to see what the weighing their options at this point.
Jay, at this point, right, any type of, like, let's say E3 did exist, next year it will literally be Microsoft Sony, and
exactly.
Nintendo, and that's it. There's no other publishers. There's no one.
I feel like Ubisoft is quite a large piece of the puzzle, isn't it?
Huge, mate.
Like whoever can.
One of the largest left.
Blizzard and Activision is a pretty, sizable piece of the puzzle.
Like I feel like Ubisoft is bigger than I don't know about that.
It's tough. I guess they've definitely become bigger in the last 6-7 years, but before that they weren't that important.
Question is what are their revenue streams like for those live service games that people keep playing, right? Because if people still playing For Honor,
For Honor's still pretty big, and also
Six Siege.
Yeah, Six Siege is still doing really well. I think they're on their 7th or 8th anniversary, aren't they? Something like that.
Oh my god.
Yeah, no, you'd be surprised. There's mobile games have pretty good revenue and stuff like that. So I wouldn't surprise me if a lot of these, a lot of these companies have already made mobile games. They know there's money there, so they're going to try and get it where they can.
100%. If Square Enix is looking to sell, right, that surely there's nowhere else they can go apart from PlayStation.
Yeah, they can't. You'd have to go PlayStation. The West would just fuck. As much as I appreciate Microsoft, Japanese games need to be made by Japanese people. Simple as. Yeah. Like I feel like there might even be, like you said, they've sort of moved away from the Western thing, and them selling all their Western subsidies, I guess you would call it, or their Western people who were part of the Square Enix world. They're all gone now. So it almost feels like Japan is sort of like bringing, like they're sort of reeling in, they're starting to be like, we need to just keep it Japanese, which might be a good thing, honestly. Like I'm definitely up for that. I'd much rather that. It also just means more money towards the games that we already love, right? Hopefully. So it's tough. It's a really odd time to be a game, to be at our level of game fan. Like as a casual, you'd have no idea about it. You'd be like, okay, a casual player would literally be, what, is COD still coming out next year? Fine. Is FIFA still coming out? Fine. Like,
Fine.
that's the extent, right? But for
Yeah,
us,
yeah,
we
yeah.
kind of like get in the nitty gritty. We kind of understand that these level of decisions can sometimes have repercussions.
Right, and if any of this ever affects any of the 7 remake or Final Fantasy or any Final Fantasy game,
No, I feel
that's
like
devastating
they
for me,
probably have
Jay.
measures. They have
You'd hope, right?
things in place to be able to make sure that that level of stuff doesn't happen. I'd like to think, yeah, definitely.
And following on from this news story, Jay, we also got some information about how many units the Tomb Raider franchise has sold
Yeah,
over
this
the
is
last
insane.
forever. So, a quick snapshot, everyone. Tomb Raider has sold 88 million units since its inception in
Jesus.
1996. 38 million of the lifetime sales came just from the reboot trilogy, which is Tomb Raider 2013, Rise of the Tomb Raider, and then Shadow of the Tomb Raider, which is that's a lot of units, guys. That's a lot of units.
Yeah.
So additionally to that, 53 million paid mobile downloads from Lara Croft Relic Run and Lara Croft Go, and people wonder why mobile games are made. That's why.
Yeah, I mean, you can shit on mobile games as much as you want. They're making bank. Like, I'd probably say that some of these mobile games are probably making more money than AAA games, than probably most AAA games. Even like some AA mobile games are probably making more than most AAA games. Like, the money's there, and there's a reason why Tencent, who are like the Chinese mobile publishers, there's a reason why they're doing so well right now. It's because they literally have like 100 different mobile games under their belt, and they get a big chunk of change out of that. Tell you, like, Tencent is going to become, like, you're going to hear that name a lot, hell
Well,
of a lot.
Tencent have started like acquiring studios, right? They
I mean, yeah, I mean they've got enough money to do so. I mean, Tencent most mobile games I play, Tencent comes up straight away. It's like, oh wow, okay, I guess yeah, they've got their finger in a hell of a lot of pies.
mm,
Like, I think Tencent are also helping with the new Diablo game that's coming out as well.
what?
Yeah, Tencent was
Oh
like a really
yeah, they're
small
rich.
Chinese mobile company like a decade ago, and now they're probably the biggest Chinese mobile company in the world. And they probably have more
That's
money than
scary.
even like Microsoft or Sony at this point. Wouldn't
They
surprise
no,
me.
they have a lot. They don't have that much, but they have a lot.
Okay. I mean,
Microsoft
give
is
it a
like
couple
number
of
2 in
years.
the world.
Give it a couple of
Microsoft is like
years.
number 2 in the world.
Oh,
So
sure, that makes sense. I actually forget about how big Microsoft actually is.
yeah, they're big.
I forget about Bill
Uh,
Gates.
but yeah, that's still interesting, right? Obviously, like I know Jay, we talked about really recently, right? Like, what's the relevance of Tomb Raider? But it's kind of nice to see the impact it's made. Not maybe necessarily the impact it will make, but just the impact it did make.
I honestly don't know how well Tomb Raider will do over the next 2 decades. I feel like the next generation of kids couldn't care less.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
I feel like Tomb Raider's had its last hurrah at this point. I reckon if they release a Tomb Raider game in the next, say, like 8 to 10 years from now, it probably wouldn't even get close to all these numbers. Doesn't matter who made it, because the people who are going to be buying it are going to be a lot younger and they don't have a clue what Tomb Raider is. But then again, Mario's or old game, but people still play it, like a lot of young people. I guess it's just how you market it. I guess. I don't know.
Just a quick side note, Jay. On the story, you can look through all the different reviews, right, for Tomb Raider games,
Yeah.
and it's so interesting because, I remember the time when a AAA game would be released on every single platform.
Yeah.
Like your PSP, your 360, your Wii. Can you imagine trying to make that so much DS, all of those games for such different platforms? Like, that's crazy.
I mean, yeah, a lot of developers are struggling between generations, let alone
Right.
same console, different generation, and they're struggling. So
And right, with the mid consoles as well,
I'm
sort of
starting to
thing, right?
hear. I actually haven't seen this anywhere necessarily, like in articles or anything. But I'm definitely starting to see the conversation around games being made only for the next gen. I can't remember what game it was. There was definitely a game that said, like, in a trailer recently, that it was only coming out for next gen consoles.
Oh, really?
But yeah, we're starting to see it already. Yeah.
Good stuff. Last up, Jay, on the news front. This comes way by sorry for butchering this name.
Uh-oh.
Naoki Yoshida. Basically, they put out an official clothing line for the franchise, and then there was a note on it or something saying they're in the final stages of development for the numbered game in the series, Final Fantasy 16. So, what are your thoughts on this, Jay?
Yep. So I remember a couple of years ago when they said that they were a certain amount of percentage through Final Fantasy VII Remake. I can't remember when they did it. I think it might have been like E3 the year before it came out, or maybe even a few months before it came out. And I think they were like 80% of the way done, is what they said. Which to them, I'm pretty sure was final stages. So we can't. I mean, which is weird because we're either not that as far away as we think, or that I don't know, or maybe they don't realise that they're actually a lot further away than they think. It's hard to say. Like either that or games really are coming out a lot earlier than they should be. You know, like just leave it in the oven a bit longer. Like Jesus Christ.
Do you? I was going to say, like, because they have been pretty silent about 16, which we've been happy about. But yeah, do you actually think it is near the end of development? I suppose.
I'd say this time next year, I reckon we might get some news about it coming out. I'd be very surprised if we hear any other news about it coming out, like, you know, this year. I don't think it'll be this year. I think it has to be next year at least. But I mean, I don't know how long it's been in development. That's the thing. A lot of these Final Fantasy games, you just never know. You know.
Yeah.
From what we've seen, it definitely looked pretty far along, though.
No, it's true, and you know, here's hoping it won't get a trouble development like 15. But at the end of the day, Jay, like because of the scope and size of a Final Fantasy game, like I feel comfortable if it came out in 2024.
Yeah, I feel a lot more comfortable too.
Do you know what I mean? Like just let it, like for whatever reason, I don't know why, but Final Fantasy games almost seem like the biggest games you can make because they have a cinematic approach, but they're RPGs, so they're like 100 hours long, but they're not bloated. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah, I feel like you described it perfectly there. Yeah, pretty much it. And they're definitely full of stuff. Yeah. I don't know, man. I just need to know how long it's been in development for, and then I'd feel more comfortable about it. I guess.
Comfortable, yeah. Do we assume they started development after, you know, just after 15 came out? You know, maybe with DLCs as well, but.
I mean, maybe like I want to say because they were still updating 15 like years after it came out, right?
Yeah, they were. Yeah, and they were big updates too.
I don't know.
All right, Jay, that's it for the news. Please take us to the second topic screen. So my topic for this week, Jay, is twofold. First is the Tiny Tina Wonderlands Season Pass DLC 1, which I think we haven't talked about yet in great detail.
Not in massive detail, no.
No. But for those who don't know, basically... Sorry, Jay, I'm just checking. I didn't interrupt you and annoy you, did I?
No. Okay. I was just checking. The Final Fantasy 16 has been in development for 4 years.
Yeah,
which actually makes that kind of makes me feel a bit more comfortable actually.
Do you think?
2018, that's not bad.
Yeah, sure.
That's kind of what I predicted actually. 2018 was kind of what I was thinking. I was thinking 2018. I think 2018 was the last Final Fantasy 15 update.
Here's a question for you, Jay. How do they I know it's just a case of numbers, but isn't it crazy to think they can make 7 remake and 16 at the same time? Effectively.
Well, this is actually a good argument about what we said about too many cooks, because Game Freak, people who make Pokemon, I think they're known for having the most popular game in terms of like sales versus size of their development team. I want to say they've definitely increased over the last couple of years, but I want to say they've got less than 100 people, and I think they try to keep it as low as possible because they know that if you have less people, the amount of communication you can have between people to make a good enough game and not get mixed up about ideas and creative outlook or whatever means that you're going to have a much more cohesive game at the end of it, right? So, well, I forgot what you said initially. What did you say initially? Where was I going with that?
How they make 16 and 7 remake at the same time.
Right. Okay. So what I'm saying is they've probably out of their Final Fantasy team. Let's say they've got 200 people. They've probably got 100 on one and 100 on another.
Yeah.
So if you ask me, it's about right.
Yeah.
I'd be I wouldn't want 200 people working on one game if I knew that it would make the game worse unless they had split it.
Oh no, I get you. To be honest though, I do think there's at least 400 or 500 people on each game. If you know.
That seems like too many to me, but I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either.
I feel like you don't need that many people to make a game.
Unless you're Ubisoft and you're Assassin's Creed.
I was gonna say Ubisoft, like I've just sort of got it down at this point, but I feel like a lot of Japanese companies tend to want to stick to as small as possible. They're all about communication.
I feel like Ubisoft just throw numbers at a game just to kind of get it done.
Ubisoft is almost like the monkeys on a typewriter situation, right? Where they just like keep whacking at it and hoping something comes out of it, I guess.
Right. Yes, so first up, Jay. So the Tiny Tina Wonderlands Season Pass. So they have a Season Pass for this game, which was actually only, I think, 50 quid on retail release. So it is a slightly smaller game.
Yeah.
But the Season Pass itself, I think, again, is 30 quid on retail, or also 20 quid or something. Me and Jay got the deluxe edition, so it's already in there.
Yeah.
So DLC 1 came out for it. We have no idea what the Season Pass was. And if you guys listened to previous episodes, we also said that we were surprised it had a Season Pass and just to see what it would be like, right? Would it be endgame stuff? Would it be story-based stuff? What's it going to be like? So we've got a trailer for the Season Pass in general. We've also got the first DLC pack. So it looks like it's all endgame stuff. So it's basically an additional area where we're going to have 4 mirrors, which is essentially 4 different end game runs that you can do that take between 10 to 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Now, each run, it seems, will have 4 different difficulties released every week. So DLC 1 is out. We're on like week 3, I think. So there's 3 difficulties. Next week will be the last difficulty, which is week 4. So in essence, a pretty poor season pass if this is the case.
Yeah, I feel like this like level of content for the whole entire season pass is what I would imagine you'd get out of like the first DLC.
100%.
It's kind of like, yeah, you can definitely tell there wasn't as much content in this as like compared to Borderlands 3. But I think we need to remind ourselves that this isn't a Borderlands 3 sized game, so why would we expect a Borderlands 3 sized DLC, you know?
Because it's the same price.
Yeah. So that's how they get you, I guess, is that they make a smaller game, same price, same name, you're still going to pay for it. We got tricked again, but, you know, I don't know. It's worth it for me so far, to a degree.
No, look, to be fair, we'll see how the other DLCs go. I still don't regret getting the game on launch because I genuinely think the core game is worth the money personally. But that's just me. I think you do too. I think.
Yeah, I definitely agree. But a lot of these like larger YouTube Borderlands content creators they've all stopped. A lot of them have stopped playing the game. Honestly.
Have they just finished everything that's got to offer already?
Yeah, they've done that, and they've done as much as they want to do. A lot of them actually moved back to Borderlands 2.
That's weird.
No, not necessarily. Not for them, it's not. Because these are the type of people who are like massive Borderlands 2 fans.
But like, do they go through phases, you know, where they like play Borderlands 2 for 3 months and then go to pre-sequel? Or...
No, it's honestly, I think like Borderlands 2 was like the pinnacle for a lot of people. I think it was also because it was the most easily like manipulative or manipulatable game. Like you could easily mod it, so you could just have a lot of fun with it. It's like playing GTA with the cheats, you know. You can have a lot of fun, basically.
Jay, it's so interesting to hear about all this endgame stuff that you've opened my eyes to, because you think a well-designed game and a good game is the core experience, and yet there's this whole other world of this end game build stuff, which like shows even more how well designed a game can be, right?
Well, I mean, you got to imagine that, what would this game be without the end game content? Definitely wouldn't be worth it. I think the end game content is the only reason why the game's worth it so far. But other Borderlands games haven't had this end game content, but they've had a lot longer of a main part of the content. So that's where there's balance there, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. So we'll see. We'll see what the DLCs are like anyway. We'll keep you guys updated. But me and Jay are obviously sort of playing through. Jay's been helping me on the chaos levels.
Where are you
stuff,
now? Are you still playing it or what?
20. Yeah. I'm trying to do one a day. I think I'm on 23 at the moment, or 24.
That's not bad. Okay. I'm actually curious to see if you even make it to 35.
I'm gonna try.
Yeah.
Well, to be honest with you, Jay, everything at the moment is just grinding. So my direct objectives are overlapping with the overall objective of getting that, every inventory upgrade.
So I have some good news about that.
Okay, I've heard it's glitched, but okay.
No, there's an update today.
Right.
So they've buffed a bunch of things, nerfed a bunch of things, but they've also got an event on at the minute where the SDUs are currently half price.
How long for?
I don't know. You have to double check, but it's not for long, I don't think. So it's making me think: do I want to come back on the game for a bit just to grind some gold?
I was gonna say, I think we should probably do that, Jay.
Yeah, I kind of want to grind. I mean, if it's true, I don't know if it's even true, but I mean, from what I've seen. But yeah, if so, I need to grind some gold and bloody get those because it means getting to the achievement a lot quicker.
Yeah, maybe you can help me on the chaos levels, and then you can just get some gold, or not?
Yeah.
Is that not the best
No,
way?
that's great because then I can, just sell all the stuff that I get and then get gold.
All right, sick.
That is the plan.
The other thing, Jay, is that I am still really keen to play Valhalla Ragnarok, so I'm just keeping an eye on that.
Oh yeah, I've forgotten you haven't played that. I played that so long ago. When did that even come out? That came out what, like March? It came out March.
No,
yeah, no, it came out March 10th.
Yeah.
Because I remember it was like 2 weeks before Tiny Tina came out.
I've actually reinstalled Valhalla ready for this DLC. That's kind of how prepped I am for it. I even sort of jumped in thinking like, should I do some Valhalla stuff that's not achievement tied? No, I can't be asked. The other thing I want to talk about was Rage 2.
Oh wow, yeah, I forgot about
that. Here come the judgment.
Well, no judgment. I definitely still want to play it just because I love the first one so much. But I need to play it again because when I first started playing it, I was just like, oh, this is not where I need to be right now.
Well, to be fair, so I think the Series X does help it run a lot better, and apparently it did
that
have
honestly
a lot of issues
might be
on launch.
it. That's probably why. Just because I think I played it on launch.
I haven't encountered too many yet, but I don't know whether it's been patched or whether the Series X makes it run better or a bit of both. I don't know. But yeah, Jay, it's one of those where I always saw it on the shelf, fancied playing it. I finally gave it a go. Looks like a great podcast game. Sort of keeping my expectations short of it, right? It's a checklist game. It's got some Mad Max vibes. It's got that kind of id gunplay. So yeah, checklist is in like open world activities sort of thing.
Yeah, super easy achievements more than likely as well.
Yeah, and it's fun. I'm having a good time with it. So it is what it is. It's popcorn, for me.
You don't necessarily need to be worrying about the story too much. Just sort of play it and have fun.
Exactly right, mate. So we're talking gameplay 80, 90, story 10, 20 max, So like there's loads of lore entries and stuff, and you know what I'm like with that stuff usually. I'm just like, I don't care. I just don't care. I'm just
I feel like the story didn't necessarily need to keep going after the first game, honestly. It was fine as it was. Just more money.
As someone who's played the first game and gave that a fair shot, I can totally see why it has fans. But yeah, I would say Rage 2. I think you much prefer the first game, to be honest. But
I think they were just trying to capitalize off of the Mad Max style. Kind of what it felt like. It felt like they were just trying to go Mad Max with it, and then it was a bit too little, too late at that point.
To be honest, Jay, I love that Mad Max game. I think it's.
I do too, but I don't know. They just didn't. They didn't hit it. They didn't nail it as hard as they could have done, I think.
No, fair play. I think that's absolutely fair. And also, Jay, the DLC is toxic. So they have 2 big DLC packs for this game. You have to buy in-game currency to then buy the DLCs through the game, which means that you can't just buy the DLC directly.
That's scammy.
Mate, that's bad.
Because
Isn't
I
it?
imagine that you can only buy certain units of or like
Correct.
certain amounts of the in-game
So you have
currency.
to pay
So you'll
over.
probably pay
Correct.
over. Yeah, exactly. That's really nasty.
And
If that doesn't tell you all about that company, then I don't know what else would.
well, obviously this is pre-Xbox, right? Pre-acquisition, but yeah, that's
I
pretty
mean,
bad. And
yeah.
also, in terms of Rage 2, what else was it? There's some people that have reviewed it saying like I've bought the DLC and it still won't download, which is
Oh,
horrendous.
yeah, well, there you go.
So yeah, so that's
Oh,
it from
yeah.
me, mate. That's everything I want to talk about.
All right.
Jay, please take us back to the home screen.
We're there.
Jay, that's it.
Yeah. Short and sweet.
Yeah, short for us, I suppose.
Yeah.
Anything
Feel like
else you want to discuss?
we're having a bit of a lull at the minute, aren't we? Kind of.
I'm okay with that.
It's that time of year,
That time of
where
generation.
I feel like the next thing we've got to look forward to really is all the game announcements for E3, or like all the events, I guess, of the Microsoft.
Yeah, lots of summer stuff coming up, right? Next month, even.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing is we're sort of in that weird, like May is a weird month where there isn't quite enough info around upcoming stuff, but then we're sort of like tapering off of the excitement of what's just happened at the beginning of the year. So it's kind of like a bit of a weird spot to be in, but I don't know. I can't focus on gaming stuff right now. I don't know why. I'm just so
Are you excited,
muddled.
Jay, about the all the summer game showcase stuff and all that?
Yeah, I actually am thinking about it. Yeah, I actually forgot about it until I reminded myself just now. I'm trying to think, like, that's the thing, like, until I like see announcements, I'm not really going to be that fussed about it. I just like, I mean, I'm going to make the argument again, but I need new IPs. Bring me my new IPs. I need some sort of classic game to get. In 20 years from now, will still be a classic, but it came out in 2025 or something. Whatever it might be. I'm actually just curious about what people are developing. Like, there's probably a number of developers that we haven't heard from in like 3 or 4 years that we just completely forgotten about.
Yeah, totally.
Like,
totally
I think I don't like to remind myself about stuff like that though, because it's kind of like I'd much rather not know and then just be surprised on the day or whatever it might be.
Yeah, to be honest, Jay, I'm getting more and more impatient to the point where I'm like, oh, don't show us anything, developers. But then when you do, maybe just say
Show
it's
us
coming out in 3
more.
months. Oh, or like do a big reveal and just release it. That's
Yeah,
how I see
almost
it
just
anyway.
do like a drop, like have it come out so
Yeah,
soon. But they need time to do all their marketing and stuff, don't they? So
yeah. Apparently. All right, Jay.
I don't know how it works anymore.
They just get bought.
Yeah.
So are you guys tired of developing games for high risk? Yeah. All right. We'll get bought by Xbox and we'll make Battletoads 2
It's a weird
or
time
Perfect
we're in
Dark
right now.
4.
Oh man, I can't wait for that to come out.
Yep. Okay, thank you very much, Jay, for your time. Appreciate it. Appreciate you being patient with me accidentally interrupting you. We'll see you all next week. Be interested to see what Jay plays, what I play. But yeah, we'll see you all next week. Have a good time. Enjoy.
Bye bye now.